The real heart attack warning signs you can't ignore. Do you think a heart attack always starts with severe chest pain, the kind that makes you clutch your chest and collapse like in the movies? In reality, half of all people who suffer a heart attack never experience that classic symptom. I remember a 67-year-old woman who only felt a bit tired and mildly nauseous, assuming it was because her lunch had been a little too greasy. She planned to rest and recover. But just a few hours later, she was rushed to the hospital in critical condition with a myocardial infarction. Do you believe you would recognize it if it happened to you or someone you love? The frightening truth is that a heart attack can start quietly, like a storm forming far away without a single clap of thunder to warn you. And it is this very silence that makes it a deadly killer. Many people ignore the early signs simply because they are not intensely painful or dramatic like they imagine. Have you ever wondered how many signals your body tries to send you every day that you simply overlook? Today, I will show you 7 real warning signs of a heart attack, including some that you would never expect to be linked to your heart. And at the end of this video, I will reveal a hidden sign that can appear days in advance. If recognized in time, it could save your life or the life of someone you care about. Are you ready to discover and remember this information? Because knowing it could be the reason you are still alive tomorrow. 1. Understanding heart attacks. Before we talk about the warning signs, I want you to clearly understand what actually happens when someone has a heart attack. Think of your heart as a pump that never stops working, and to keep it running, it needs oxygen-rich blood delivered through special pipelines called coronary arteries. When these pipelines become blocked, what happens next? The blockage usually begins with the buildup of something called atherosclerotic plaque, a mixture of cholesterol, inflammatory cells, and other substances. It's like mineral deposits inside a water pipe, which at first only narrow the flow, but once the plaque cracks or ruptures, the inner core is exposed to the blood, triggering the clotting process. A blood clot forms, and if it completely blocks the artery, the heart muscle downstream from the blockage is instantly cut off from power. The myocardium, just like any other tissue in the body, needs oxygen to survive. When its oxygen supply is cut off, heart muscle cells start to die within minutes. Did you know that many studies show it takes only 7 to 8 minutes without blood flow for that section of the heart muscle to suffer permanent necrosis? Once that part of the heart muscle dies, it is replaced with scar tissue, which can never regain its original pumping function. But here's the key point. Not every blockage happens suddenly with intense chest pain. Sometimes a heart attack develops more slowly, with mild symptoms you might mistake for indigestion, stress, or ordinary fatigue. So how can you tell the difference between a slightly tired afternoon and a life-threatening situation? Don't worry, because right now we're going to uncover each real warning sign, and I bet at least one of them will surprise you enough to make you stop and think. Do you want to know what the first sign is? 2. The 7 warning signs. The first sign, and the one most people think of, is pain or pressure in the chest. But did you know that only about half of all heart attack patients actually feel this? The pain may feel like pressure, squeezing, or as if someone has placed a heavy object right in the center of your chest. It often lasts more than a few minutes, or it may go away and then return. If you feel this sensation while resting or doing light activity, would you treat it as an emergency? Many people dismiss it, thinking it's probably just a muscle strain, and that's a dangerous mistake. The second sign is unusual shortness of breath. You might be sitting still, doing nothing strenuous, yet feel winded as if you've just climbed several flights of stairs. This happens because the heart is unable to pump enough oxygen-rich blood to the body. Have you ever felt sudden, unexplained breathlessness without coughing or fever? If the answer is yes, remember that this could be an early signal of a heart attack in progress. The third sign is radiating pain. In medicine, we call this referred pain, discomfort that starts in the chest but can travel to the neck, jaw, shoulders, and down the arm, most often the left arm. But did you know that in some people, especially women, the pain can radiate to the upper back or even down into the abdomen? If an unusual pain appears and moves in this way, what would you think it is? The fourth sign is nausea, indigestion, or heartburn. You might think it's probably just last night's dinner. But if this feeling comes with cold sweats, extreme fatigue, or radiating pain, would you really wait to see if it goes away on its own? This is one of the easiest overlooked signs, especially in older adults. The fifth sign is cold sweats and dizziness. Your body may respond to reduced blood flow by activating the sympathetic nervous system, making you break out in a sweat, turn pale, and feel lightheaded. When was the last time you felt faint and started sweating without a clear reason? Did you check your heart then? The sixth sign is unusual fatigue, particularly in women. You may get a full night's sleep yet still feel exhausted, wanting to rest all day. This happens because the heart is working overtime to pump blood through narrowed arteries. If, for several days in a row, you feel as if you're carrying a heavy weight on your back, what would you think is going on? The seventh sign, which is also frequently missed, is upper back pain or unusual pressure in this area. Many people come to the hospital complaining of back pain, only to find out they are actually having a heart attack. The discomfort can be dull or occur in sharp waves. Can you imagine that a backache could be connected to your heart? And here's something interesting. There's still one hidden sign that most people don't know about, one that can appear several days before a heart attack actually happens. If you recognize it in time, you could save your own life. Do you want to know what it is? Number 3, risk factors and who needs to be especially vigilant. Here's a fact few people want to hear, but I have to say it. Not everyone faces the same risk of a heart attack. Some people are practically standing at the edge of the cliff without realizing it. Do you wonder if you're one of them? First, age is a major factor. Men over 45 and women after menopause, typically around age 55, have a much higher risk. But age is only part of the story. High blood pressure, elevated LDL cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, smoking, excess weight, and a sedentary lifestyle. All of these stack up like bricks, weakening the wall that protects your heart. How many of these bricks are you carrying? There is another factor that I see many people overlook: family history. If your father, mother, or siblings have had an early heart attack, men before age 55, women before age 65, your risk is also significantly higher. This means that even if you eat healthily and exercise regularly, genetics can still play a critical role. Do you know your family's health history in detail? And there is one group that needs to be doubly cautious: older women. Not only because they often have atypical symptoms, but also because many still believe heart attacks are a man's disease. This false sense of security causes many women to arrive at the hospital late, losing the golden window to save heart muscle. Have you ever seen someone around you fall into that situation? Of course, having risk factors is not a death sentence, but it's like a weather forecast. If you know it's going to rain, you bring an umbrella. And if you know you're in a high-risk group, you will be more alert to any unusual signs from your body. But there is still one special sign, the hidden sign, that can appear days in advance, signaling a heart attack is on the horizon. Do you want to know it so you can be ready?
4. The hidden sign that appears days before. This hidden sign is often missed because it's not sharply painful. It doesn't make you clutch your chest or force you to stop everything immediately. But that's exactly what makes it dangerous. It is a sense of unusual fatigue or discomfort that persists for several days, even up to a week before a heart attack actually happens. Have you ever experienced a period when your body felt drained? Everything seemed heavier than usual, but you couldn't pinpoint why? In some people, especially women and older adults, this sign may come with trouble sleeping, restlessness, or mild fleeting aches in the chest, back, neck, or arms. The problem is that these symptoms are far too easy to mistake for fatigue from aging, work stress, or weather changes. What would you do if one morning you woke up feeling weighed down, but thought, "I'll probably feel better tomorrow"? Research published in the journal Circulation has shown that about 80% of female heart attack patients experienced at least one warning symptom within 4 weeks before the event, with unusual fatigue being the most common. This means the body was already sending out distress signals. We just didn't recognize them. If you or a loved one experience this kind of red alert, strange fatigue, unexplained discomfort, plus one of the earlier warning signs, treat it as an urgent prompt to get checked. Because you wouldn't want to miss the golden chance to prevent a major event, would you? 5. When to call emergency services immediately. When it comes to a heart attack, time is muscle. With every passing minute, more heart muscle tissue dies. So how do you know when to call emergency services without hesitation? The answer is, anytime you experience one or more of the warning signs mentioned earlier, especially chest pain or pressure lasting more than 5 minutes, accompanied by shortness of breath, cold sweats, or pain radiating to the neck, shoulders, back, or arms, call 911 or your local emergency number immediately. Do you think you would remain calm enough to do this if it really happened? If you see someone else showing these symptoms, don't wait for them to rest a bit and feel better. Call emergency services and help them sit or lie in the most comfortable position possible. If they lose consciousness and are no longer breathing, begin cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR, if you know how, and locate the nearest automated external defibrillator, or AED. Have you ever wondered whether there's an AED available where you live or work? This is something you should know before an emergency occurs.
6. Lifestyle changes to reduce heart attack risk. Prevention is always better than cure, but what can you do starting today to truly lower your heart attack risk? The first step is to take control of your diet. Cut down on added sugar, limit fried foods and processed products, and increase your intake of vegetables, whole fruits, fish, and nuts. Did you know that simply reducing sugar to under 6 teaspoons per day can significantly lower your risk of insulin resistance, one of the leading causes of atherosclerotic plaque buildup? Next is physical activity. You don't have to work out intensely, but just 30 minutes of brisk walking daily can improve circulation, lower blood pressure, and strengthen your heart. Have you set aside half an hour today to take care of your heart? Quitting smoking and limiting alcohol are also crucial steps. Both cigarette smoke and alcohol damage blood vessels and accelerate the hardening of the arteries. Getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night is equally important, as sleep deprivation raises blood pressure and stress, 2 major risk factors. Finally, don't forget stress management. Chronic stress elevates cortisol levels, which raise blood pressure and heart rate, putting strain on your blood vessels. Are you letting yourself live under stress for too long without finding a way to release it? All of these changes not only reduce your heart attack risk, but also improve your daily quality of life. But there's still one most important thing. If you ignore it, all prevention efforts could be meaningless. Do you want to know what it is? If you remember only one thing from this entire video, let it be this. The heart never fails suddenly without warning. It always sends signals, sometimes clear, sometimes subtle, and your job is to listen. Are you willing to spend a few minutes each day paying attention to your body? A heart attack is not just someone else's story. It can happen to anyone, anywhere. The good news is, by recognizing early warning signs, knowing when to call for help, and proactively making lifestyle changes, you can absolutely lower your risk and protect your heart. Would you like me to keep sharing exercises, nutrition tips, and healthy living strategies to support your heart? If this video has helped you realize something new or made you think about your own health, share it with your friends and family, because you never know who might be silently carrying the risk. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next valuable content. And now, ask yourself, what is your heart telling you today? Don't wait until it screams in the middle of a heart attack to start listening. Take action today so you can live more fully tomorrow. Which step will you start with as soon as this video ends?